Right on.
Okay.
Get my video going. Hi, yeah, you guys hear me all right?
Yeah,
Yeah, we
that's
can hear
fine.
you just good.
We are.
Ah, good, good. Nice to meet you.
Nice
Yeah,
to meet
nice to
you.
meet you.
I'm Ethan. I'm the one you've been talking with. This is my partner in crime.
I'm Ginger.
Hi, how you doing, Ginger? Good to meet you as well.
Yeah. We are recording this. Is that okay? Like,
Yeah, absolutely no problem at
uh,
all.
so we can show it to the rest of the team after this.
Cool, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
What
Uh,
inspired you to get interested in Scottish boxing then?
um, I mean, we had just finished doing a ton of boxing play stuff the year before. Uh,
Uh-huh.
Boxing,
like,
like
oh,
Scottish.
Scottish.
Yeah. So
My
last
bad.
year, last year we did like a trilogy of plays about the King James in Scotland. So we all like got interested in Scotland then, and now we're doing a boxing play for that. So yeah,
Ah, cool. Which King James? Is it the one that got assassinated?
all
Uh,
of them. It was James
yeah.
1, 2, and 3. We did all three of the plays
Yeah.
for it. Yeah.
I don't know if you know, but there's a bar in Perth called the King James, and it shares a basement with where I think it was James the Fourth, where he got murdered in Perth.
Oh wow.
There was some, so they've got a cool section on the floor of the bar where you can see down into the basement where they reckon he was eventually done away with, sort of thing. So yeah.
That's really cool actually.
That's really cool.
Yeah, yeah. There's quite a lot of history in Perth where, it was the capital of Scotland at one point. The capital used to move around wherever the king was. That was the capital sort of thing. So there's, yeah, quite a lot of history with the Stewart dynasty. Yeah, yeah. Share my second name as well.
All right. Shall we? We've got some questions from us and the team about like just how it actually goes on over there because we've been doing like researching online and all that, but like
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, cool. Just whatever you need to ask, however you want to run it, just go for it.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a lot of questions because they're trying to like understand their characters and like how to rep
Hmm.
accurately represent that. And one of the girls who's playing a mother of the main character boxer, she's wondering
Hmm.
like for their parents, like what kind of reactions do their parents have to them? Like when if you're telling your parents that you're becoming a boxer or like a professional boxer, what kind of reactions does that cause? Because yeah, like
Yeah, you get all different flavors, I suppose. Most parents, I would say, are quite supportive. And if it's an interest that their kid has, they're quite supportive. Um, a lot of them don't like going to watch them actually box. They find that a bit too difficult. I was actually at a boxing show on Saturday night. There's one of our team, a guy, Luke Bibby, turned professional just last year. So he had a professional bout on Saturday night. He got quite badly cut in it, and his mum, is both his mum and his dad really don't like watching it, but they always go to support him. They find it really stressful. They're more stressed out by it than he is, sort of thing. And that I would say that's probably a fairly normal reaction that you see. But yeah, they're normally quite supportive. Yeah.
yeah, it makes sense with the whole like
No, yeah.
it'd be hard. But another question we have like what like the training routines, what does it look like? What is a general training routine you do in the professional world or like as like your
Yeah. So follow a fairly standard format normally for our training sessions. Everything is split into 3 minute rounds. So 3 minutes of training with 60 seconds off in between. And it's just really training the guys for, that's the normal length of rounds when they're competing, so everyone's around that. So we normally get people in, they have a bit of a stretch off, a warm up. We do up to 6 rounds of skipping. So that's 6 3-minute rounds with a minute off in between. On the minute off, you do like 10 press ups, 10 sit ups. Once you've done those up to 6 rounds, that's you warmed up. We'll probably do a bit of, technical skills. So, depending on what level the class is at, if it's a beginner level, you're doing 3 minutes of, learning the basic fundamentals of punching, and that goes all the way through, getting more advanced stuff, footwork, the mechanics of punches, combinations. Then we'll do a whole heap of drills on the punch bags. So we've got, I don't know, maybe about 10 different bags varying from light to heavy to floor to ceiling to speed balls, and we just work our way all the way around the kit. 3 minutes on, minute off, onto the next bit of kit all the way around. The guys who are training to compete, we'll do a bit of sparring with them. So we do a mixture of technical sparring, which is, I suppose, doing various routines. So you might call out a specific combination that boxer 1 needs to do and a specific defense that boxer 2 has to do, and you work your way through that until they really perfect it. And we do a little bit of open sparring, which is not 100% full force, but sort of anything goes sort of thing, just practicing your techniques sort of thing. You're advised to do more technical sparring than open sparring, just to get people, used to it. And I suppose you're gradually increasing the intensity depending on their skill level and their fitness level. So I'm running a beginner's class at the minute, and we start off with sort of non-contact sparring. So you're not actually going to hit your opponent, but you're doing all of the punching movements, and they're doing all of their opponents doing all the defensive movements. So maybe do a minute, one boxer's attacking, maybe throwing out the jab, and the other person's sort of doing the movement to defend that jab. And it's really about training your reaction times, I suppose, to start off with, and then we'll gradually introduce more contact. So one of the early things that you do is body sparring, so you can only do sort of body punches, and it's just gets people used to doing the defenses, gets them used to getting hit as well, and takes that sort of bit of the fear factor out of it, I suppose. And then gradually you're up in the power that's been used and the speed, and headshots as well as body and stuff. So sort of gradual progression, like learning any new skill, I suppose,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I have been studying a lot of boxing styles lately, like just seeing what kind of different styles people use. What do you think is the most common boxing style you see on a day-to-day basis?
The Luke Bibby, the guy who was away to see on Saturday night, he describes himself as an aggressive counter puncher. He's a southpaw, so I mean most guys that you see are right-handed, so they're sort of orthodox. Lead with the left. You see all sorts of. I mean, we most of the people at our club are sort of novice level, so beginners, and what we try and focus on with the beginners is, learning to do the basics. And really, you see a lot of guys, they see people on the TV, what's it called? Is it the Boston Clam sort of defensive stance, one of your hands down and stuff? We try and like guys, that's all right for when you're, Muhammad Ali sort of level sort of thing. But we try and instill with people learning the basics. So that's keeping your guard up, snapping your punches out, always protecting yourself, in terms of that, it's not really so much about style, it's more about sort of technique. But I think most people that come through our doors favour quite an aggressive style, and I think quite a lot. Most people that like to go and watch boxing, they're wanting to see a lot of punches getting thrown, a lot of punches landing. That's the sort of entertainment value, isn't it? But yeah, you get a lot of people come through the door trying to run before they can walk. You see it. The one thing that you see it on all the time is, you've seen guys doing the speedball, right? It looks quite impressive, the bag battering, but every single person wants to be amazing at it as soon as they start, and you got to learn to do it slow before you can do it fast. But everybody wants to have sort of shortcuts to it. It's quite funny, and I suppose that same's true with everything. If you don't focus on learning the basics and the fundamentals, then you're building on, I suppose, quite a rocky foundation, and you're not going to, get to those higher levels of skill. I don't know how much that answers your question. Maybe more of a ramble from me.
I have another question.
Yeah.
So you talked for a minute about the audience liking to see tons of punches getting through. And that's something I've personally been really fascinated with. How much do you think, how important do you think it is to consider audience, how much the audience is going to be into it, and what was that word that I used when I was talking about it? Do you remember?
No.
Right. Like a shock value essentially. How much do you think it comes into play for a professional boxer as they're becoming professional to think about what tactics he might use to get the audience more on his side?
I'm not sure how if they think about that directly. I mean, I suppose at the end of the day, it is all about selling tickets, and particularly when you're if you're a professional boxer as opposed to an amateur boxer, there's a lot of pressure put on the pro guys to sell lots of tickets, and it's almost like you don't get a title shot if you're not selling a lot of tickets. That's kind of the way it works a lot. So in the pro game, there's probably maybe a bit more pressure about that. In the amateur game, which is what I'm more involved in, I mean, there's a few people that you're looking to impress, and that's the judges at the end of the day, because it's them that are deciding whether you win or lose, So I mean, everybody wants to put on a good show, I suppose, and particularly, boxers travel about a lot to other club shows, and our club, maybe once or twice a year, we have a home show, and that's their chance. A lot of people that come to it, they're selling a lot of tickets. It's all their friends and family. So I think they probably put a bit more pressure on themselves at a home show when all of their friends and family are there to try and impress their friends and family, sort of thing. But primarily, it's really the judges that they need to impress, and it's about. I mean, there's 3 different criteria that are applied when judging a boxing contest. So the first criteria that you look at is number quality blows landed in the target area. So how many times you hit somebody cleanly in the front of the head or front of the body. Um, the second criteria is tactical superiority. So that's sort of ring craft and using the space. And the final criteria is competitiveness. So how much effort they're putting in, and it's based on those three criteria that you come up with. Who's won the round? Who's getting 10 points, who's getting 9 points if it's close. If the other person's a little further forward, it's 8 points. So amateur boxing, it's normally 10-9, 10-8 score line that you go to.
Yeah.
Okay, great. My thing that I was wondering about is, what are the specifics in like your diet? Like, what are the things you focus on, like not eating or eating, or like, yeah, just like your diet
Yeah,
as a boxer.
yeah. So it's sort of high protein, green veg, good carbs, low fat. I suppose is the sort of general message. Good clean food, healthy eating. So probably a lot of chicken, fish. For your low fat sort of proteins. The guys will eat a bit of beef as well, but generally a bit of higher fat content, and good carbohydrates. So yeah, probably similar to a lot of athletes' diets. When this guy that keep mentioning Luke, we did a presentation about his diet a while ago too. There's a local prison that we were sort of went in to do a presentation to give the guys a bit of inspiration. It's got some information on what his typical diet and what his typical sort of training regime looks like. If you're interested in seeing that presentation, I could email a copy across to you.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Yeah, that'd be really helpful if you could.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not quite. Although I'm saying I'd made the presentation up. It's not quite finished, and we have done the presentation. But the room that they were putting us in at the last minute, they pulled out of being able to give us AV facilities. So it gives a bit. It's got quite a lot of good information in it, but if you're wondering why it's looking unfinished, that's the reason. But I'm happy to share it with you. You probably pick out some decent bits from it. We're actually going back to the prison tomorrow night to do a follow-up presentation to them because do you know the Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when they fought in Saudi Arabia, I think it was 21st of December. Luke was invited out there to take part in some of the warm-up events. So that's what we're going to speak to the inmates about when we go tomorrow night. So yeah, quite an interesting story.
Yeah. Okay. One thing, one of we have a bunch of questions about trainers, like how
Uh-huh.
many like how it works in the gym. We have like how many trainers are generally in a gym, or um how do they usually like as like a trainer or a manager, how do you divide your attention between all the people you're training, and what's your relationship between the kids and like, do you wanna, yeah. Like,
Uh, yeah. From the vibe we were getting from the script as we were reading it, is that uh, while these kids love their family, there's a much different level of respect when it comes to um, the trainer and boxer.
yeah,
Specifically, the trainer we have in this show is very, very like almost domineering in the way he controls the space around him. So
yeah.
we were just wondering, like, what is the legitimate style of how you would see a trainer go about it?
Yeah, you get. I mean, I can speak easiest about how it works in my own club. Every club is a slightly different culture. You go to some clubs and they have got that sort of really dominant personality that calls all the shots, makes all the decisions, and although he's got a team around him, they, that they're the one decision maker, and what they say goes, sort of thing. So you do get a bit of that. I know of a couple of clubs that have got that sort of culture. At our club, we're a bit different. We've got quite a lot of coaches on the books. There's about 11 of us, 11 or 12, I think, and we've got quite a democratic setup that we make all our decisions together as a club, and we have regular meetings and stuff. So we're quite sort of democratic that way. In terms of levels of respect between coaches and uh, boxers, generally quite good. But you do get sort of prima donnas, guys that think they know everything and they're better than everybody. I'm thinking one person in particular at our club at the minute who's like that. Who he, I think he's expecting the coaches to be doing a lot more for him, and okay, it's good to have high expectations, but I mean, what people forget is that in amateur boxing, generally we're all volunteers, and I've got a job that I work at 9 till 5, Monday to Friday, and the boxing club's something that I do in my spare time, and go down and coach through the week, and help run the place, sort of thing. So it's you get all sorts of flavors. So I mean, what you've described there is, yeah, I can see that reflected in some clubs that I know of in Scotland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One of the characters in our play is there is one sole female boxer in the club
Mm-hmm.
in this show. And I'm just wondering, like, one, how often do you see female boxers come through your club, or those that might want to become professional? And two, she has this conflicting problem where she wants to spar with the guys, but it's not permitted in this club. And
Mm-hmm.
they're like, if you really want to spar, you should go do women's boxing. So my other question was just, is there that really a big of a difference in men's boxing and female boxing?
Yeah, so we we don't have many female members. We've only had one. We've had two females that have become registered boxers. One of them never had a bout. That's a young girl that's attending the club at the minute, and the other one, a girl Katie, who had one bout, and that was it. So females are definitely a minority in the sport. We have been trying to encourage female participation. Lots of clubs do. We do offer a female only boxing night at the minute. There's probably about 15 people on the list, and we get about 7 showing up from time to time. On a regular basis each week. In terms of the question about the sparring, yeah, I mean, strictly speaking, you shouldn't be sparring anybody. You should be only be doing same sex sparring, and round about the same age and weight. There's regulations in place for that. In practice, what happens in a club like our own is that we don't have enough members that are the same weight as each other, the same sex, the same, you know. So in practice, we hold supervised, all sparring supervised by a registered qualified coach, and they will mix it up. So we do have, you know, girls sparring guys, but it's in a controlled environment. But to the letter of the rules of what you should do, you shouldn't really do that. But it isn't very practical, the guidance, unless you've got, you know, lots of people that are around about the same weight, same age, same sex. You know, it's very difficult to follow that. But when it comes to competing, it's 100%. You know, it's got to be you know, somebody within the same category as you. You know, so that's very tightly controlled. But when it comes to sparring in the gym, you know, we do allow a bit of flexibility on that. What you described there, there's probably quite a lot of clubs where that it may operate like that, you know, and it's yeah. So I don't think that's, you know, none strikes me as unusual by, you know, portraying that sort of thing happening.
Yeah.
That's all the questions I have written down.
I have another question. Um,
Yeah.
Something we see with a lot of the characters in the show, a lot of the boxers, is that as we go, they kind of get a little more as they participate in heavy sparring and bouts. You can see that as the more they get injured, the more of a like mental kind of toll it takes. So I was wondering, uh, I know there's a physical toll when it comes to boxing, like getting hit and get hit and all.
Yeah.
Uh, but what kind of toll does it take on a boxer mentally and emotionally to participate in a sport like that?
In amateur boxing, there's quite a lot of safeguards in place to protect the participants. So, for example, you know, if somebody takes a heavy blow to the head, they get a standing count of 8 in amateur boxing. If they lose a fight by knockout or a stoppage and it's heavy blows to the head, they will be banned from sparring or competing for a set period of time. So they call those protective sanitary measures, just to protect people's health. Um, Also in amateur boxing, it's three rounds they compete at only. Whereas in professional boxing, you know, it can go up to 12 rounds, you know. So I would say that what you've described there is something that you see more from, you know, in the professional game, where people have been boxing a lot of long fights for a longer period of time. Within the amateur game, it's not something that you really see. The safety is quite high, and they are quite well protected. But definitely, you know, when you see older boxers, you know, that have obviously had quite a lot of head knocks in their time, and you know you know they do seem a bit slower in their mental capacity and stuff. So, but I would say in amateur boxing, it's, you know, sure, nobody wants to you know, get knocked out or be stopped or whatever, and you know that will. I suppose when that does happen, it's a blow to the ego a bit, as much as anything else. But in terms of physical impairment or, you know, long lasting damage, I don't see that in the amateur game. But it's more when people turn professional and they're, you know, boxing later in their life as well as a factor. In amateur boxing, you can only compete up until you're 40 years old. After that, you're not allowed to compete in amateur boxing. But obviously, if you're in the pro ranks, you can get a pro license and compete almost any age. I mean, you look at Mike Tyson fighting Jake Paul recently. So yeah, I think it's. I would say there's a bit of a difference between the pro and the amateur ranks, and what you described is more certainly as an issue in the pro boxing ranks, but not so much amateur.
Right. Um, what do you think are the biggest differences between boxing in general, not just amateur, but boxing in general in Scotland versus boxing in general in the US or internationally? Are there any differences in maybe like not just like technical, but like also maybe like attitude or the way like I guess like the essence of like or like the aura sense that surrounds a match maybe?
Yeah, what I see in Scotland, sort of generally speaking, compared to what I see from other countries, say Eastern Europe or whatever, is I think there's less dedication to the training generally amongst your average Scottish boxer than you might get elsewhere. Um, I mean, people who reach the top level are very dedicated, but if you're talking about in the grassroots of the sport, um, I don't think there's so much dedication to training at the grassroots level in Scotland as you maybe get in, Eastern Europe or something like that, where people are, I think they train harder. I would say. Um, Maybe that's doing a disservice to some, but the Scottish guys that reach the top of their sport are obviously clearly very dedicated. But at grassroots level, some of the just thinking about the people that train at our club, you often get people that are very technically gifted but don't train hard, and you get people that train very hard but don't have that natural technical ability. We don't see as many people through the door that have both. They're technically gifted, they train hard, and then if you've got those two factors working together, you're going to reach the top, really. Yeah, that would be a passing observation I would have. I don't know much about the amateur scene sort of outside Europe, to be honest with you. But yeah. I mean, I don't know what it's like in the States, or whatever.
Yeah. Um, an event I've been following in Scotland's boxing world is Ben Bartlett versus Rico Marinovic. Uh,
Uh-huh.
and I was just reading, I read all sorts of things about uh maybe rivalry and bad attitude one toward the other. Uh, and in a high stakes title fight like that, of course there's going to be a lot of I mean it's high stakes it when it comes down to two people like that. So uh I was just wondering like what's your view or what's your opinion on like what do title fights usually look like in terms of a shift in maybe tension or stakes?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose there's more on the line. I think there's, it's to be honest, it annoys me a bit all the trash talk stuff that you get. It's I think boxing has become a bit more like, um, you know. WWE wrestling in terms of that razzmatazz and the stare downs and all that sort of thing. Um, and I suppose at the end of the day, it's that sort of stuff increases the hype and sells tickets. So know why it happens, but I must say I don't like that. And in amateur boxing, we try and focus a lot on sportsmanship. We had our last boxing show was in November, and we always get the team together at the before the contests start, and impress on them that remember you're here representing the club, and that what that means is win or lose, you got to conduct yourself in a positive manner. Want to see each of you going over and shaking hands with the opposing corner after the bout, and want to see you conducting yourself in a sportsman like manner. And I suppose when it comes to the pro ranks, you see all the trash talk and all that sort of thing. I think afterwards, normally people are fairly sportsman-like and they'll, shake hands and everything. But yeah, I must admit, it's a side of it that I don't really like.
Yeah. Um, well, is there anything else you'd like to say? Maybe like what do you think is the most important thing um to making sure this is accurate? Or like if you were worried about anything, what might you be worried about in terms of what might not be portrayed as accurately?
Or yeah. Or anything that's just like interesting or like
Yeah, maybe you'd like like our actors to know.
Ooh, that's probably quite tricky. I mean, if you wanted, and if you're willing to do it, if you wanted to share a script with me, I'd quite happily read it and give you a critique on anything that stuck out and I felt probably didn't seem realistic. But without understanding where the plot's going and how that's running, it is maybe quite difficult to give that feedback. So I could make that offer if that was of interest. Don't feel that you have to take it up. It's there if you want to.
Yeah, maybe like a rephrase of that question is uh what are you proud of in terms of in terms of the Scottish boxing community? Like what do you think drives the passion and makes it all the worthwhile?
Hmm. Um, well, we're very proud of what we do at our club. I suppose the way we view it, our club was established in 1944. If you've been on the website, you've maybe seen some of the high level sort of history about the club, and because it's been on the go for over 80 years now, we feel that there's, we do have a bit of a history there, and we feel that we're just the people that are carrying the torch at the minute for Perth Railway Club. We're a long line of people. We're sort of custodians of the club, the history, the name, and we've got to keep the club alive while we're running it and pass it on to the next generation, and the club will live on before I'm after I'm 6 foot under the ground. So I suppose there's a sense of being part of something in a history of your club. And there's a sense of, although boxing is a solo sport and can be a lonely sport, you see, anybody's watched Rocky, you see Rocky out sort of running in his montage. A lot of the time he's on his own or he's chopping wood or something like that in the middle of a snowstorm and all that sort of thing. But you know, there is that element to it, but we are all part of a broader team that support each other, and we're all volunteers, so that's quite good, just all a group of volunteers coming together to help people fulfill their potential as an athlete, sort of thing. And the what are you doing it for? You're doing it for getting to the competitions and having the chance for the guys to showcase their skills. And a lot of the coaches are ex-boxers, so they're too old to box now. They want to pass on what they've learned, help help guys get as far as they can, and it gives them an opportunity to still be involved in the sport. So yeah, it's really about helping people reach wherever they want to go. I mean, people walk into the club with different ideas. Some people walk in, they want to be the champ, the next world champion or whatever. Brilliant. If you put in the requisite amount of effort, you've got a chance of being there. Some people just want to have one fight because that's what they want to do. They want to train up, get there, have one fight. That's enough for them. Other people come at the club, they just want to get fit, so you can come into the club, whatever you want to achieve, we'll try and help you get there, and for everybody's got sort of different goals. So helping people get to those goals is a motivating factor for me. And seeing success, people coming back with a Scottish Championship win or whatever is a really good reward, not just for the boxer for the effort that they've put in, but for the whole team, and the effort that they put in to support that. So yeah, a little bit is about the glory. There's a little bit about keeping the history going, and just about helping people. We hear a lot of the guys come in. Maybe they've had mental health issues, or maybe they've had you know issues with substance abuse or something like that. And that regular fitness training and that discipline has really helped them turn things around. Whether they're just training for fitness or whether they're wanting to be the next champ. So it's definitely a positive factor in people's lives. Definitely.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being willing to talk to us. It's
Yeah.
been super helpful.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. Nice to speak to you guys. Yeah, I've got a couple of friends that are from Utah originally. I'm not sure where about in Utah. Um, Misty Brown is one of their names. Another one, oh, she's married now. Destiny. Can't remember her married name though. Her, her previous name was Mac. Destiny Mac. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, but there you go. But yeah, nice to meet you guys. I will ping you across those couple of PowerPoint things. You can have a bit of a look through, see if there's anything good in there. And if you think of anything else you want to reach out, give me a shout. Happy to help. And yeah, where to get tickets for the premiere?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this was great. We got a bunch covered, and this will be super helpful for us. And so, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay, nice to meet you guys. Cheers.
Nice to meet you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Oh.
Yay.